Okay, hey everybody. My name's John Wires. We're here with MAREI PartnerCast, number 25. So we're getting up there. Today we're here with Tom Sharkey of LemonTree BnB. They do management of short-term rentals. You guys might have heard of them. Definitely popular nowadays, but it's been tough shortly. But as you guys know, the will to travel always comes back really quick because staying at home is super boring. So thanks for joining us today, Tom.
Thank you, John. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah. So just for the people out there, we're gonna go and get into who they are, because you work with your second half here. She couldn't make it, but you guys are a team. We'll get into what got you guys started into it. Give them a little bit introduction into LemonTree BnB here. And then maybe we'll go into what's happened in the market right now. Then we'll get into, hey, how's the process work if they want to work with you guys? Maybe some strategies, and then we'll close it up. So it'll be pretty informative here. So we appreciate joining us. Go ahead and give people introduction to you guys and to your company.
Okay. So I'm Tom Sharkey. I'm the CEO of LemonTree BnB. We specialize in short-term rentals in the Kansas City area, Kansas City, Missouri. We're getting a few units in Kansas here shortly. And what got us into this space was we initially first started listening to Bigger Pockets, kind of getting our gears toward real estate investing. And we ended up taking the plunge and analyzing the market, and we ended up buying our first rental property in Westport, pretty much right in the heart of this really cool rustic area inside Kansas City, and just walking distance from there. We did a live-in. We lived in it for about 6-7 months. I financed it through the VA loan, and we lived in it while we furnished it and got it ready. And we did a couple trials. We went out of town for a few weekends and allowed guests to just stay in the whole place while we locked all our personal items in a basement. And after that whole trialing, we're like, whoa, this is pretty good. We were getting like $190 per night on the weekend. We're like, okay, wow, this is pretty good. There's a demand here. And it was consistently. And there was like 8 weekends in a row where we were like, okay, let's go on a camping trip. And we love camping anyway. So
you almost left because you could get paid to leave at that
exactly.
point.
Absolutely.
Like, I mean, we don't have anything to do, but we're just going to leave.
Yeah. I mean, those 8 weekend dates paid for the mortgage and the utilities. That's so cool. We're just like, okay, this is real. And then we went on like an actual week-long vacation to trial the weekdays. And it was the same thing. It was $90 to $100 a night on the weekdays. And we're just like, wow, all right, we got a great one, great property, great location. We styled it great. And then we've moved out, and we kind of have rented other apartments while we've allowed this thing to cash flow. And that's how we got started. Now we're with that. It's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom home right in the middle of Westport. And it during peak season, it can gross just off booking revenue between $2,700 kind of low end to it can go up to $3,500 just on the booking revenue. And so, and from that booking revenue, that's what's going to cover the mortgage, the utilities, and the expendable supplies, and items like that.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, right now, obviously, the travel industry, hospitality industry has taken a hit due to COVID stuff. We got a lot of people that are, in the business, but, maybe doing their own management themselves right now. And then later they may scale with a management company like you guys. How's the market been for you guys, maybe since the start, during, and now in the future? That's a lot of time to cover, but give me in a general of, if people are looking to get into the space, work with you guys, what to expect, because, someone might be getting into it, be like, is this too soon type thing? So give us an update there, because you're on the ground seeing what's going on.
Yeah, before COVID-19, we grew from, in a span of 6 months, starting about a year ago, we grew from 2 units to 12 units. And at the end of that 6-month mark, that's when COVID hit. So that's why we put the brakes on acquiring more properties, and just kind of assess. And we just needed to assess there and see how everything was unraveling. Before COVID, things were going great. Fall was a fantastic time. Winter's a little bit slower, but it's still profitable. And then the dead seasons are January and February in Kansas City. However, they're still profitable. You still come out on top. And then, so what we did to grow, we used multiple different strategies. We had the buy and hold, and that's how we got in. And then we used another strategy called rental arbitrage, which is where you rent out a property with permission to sublease on Airbnb. So we go up to a landlord and we say, hey, I'd like to rent your property. I'm going to pay you rent every month, and then I got to take care of utilities and the expenses of running this business that's running through their property. And the advantage for the landlord is, for me, this is a business. I don't want to just rent from you for a year. I need to get a return. Usually I get my full return for all the furnishings. Usually I get about 100% of my return on investment in year one, or at least close. 70% is the absolute minimum I'll go with this strategy. So I'm looking for multiple years of rent. I take care of maintenance and repairs on the inside. I have to. I keep the property looking beautiful, updated. I even do some updates. I've even installed electrical work for like new, nice electrical work. I've done some art and made some minor updates here and there. Put in barn doors, sliding doors, pocket doors. So some minor, not appreciation, but minor updates for the guest gets to enjoy that, and then also the landowner gets to enjoy it too. So, that's a strategy that we used in the very beginning because we believed, and we still do, in the short-term rental industry. And now after that, we got an inquiry from an investor. His name is Jason Graves. He's an out-of-state investor. He owns like 100 doors around the Main Street corridor, and he does a lot of syndications. And he reached out to us because one of his units over right by Main Street and 39th Street, it was one of his units was just vacant for long term, and he was just asking for like $750. It's a nice, really spacious 1-bedroom place. And he said, why don't you guys turn this into an Airbnb? And we did the numbers, we ran them to him, the estimates for furnishing the place, and we outfitted it. It looks beautiful, it looks gorgeous. And we've been managing that one for over a year now. But ever since we discovered that strategy of just kind of management, and we've really wanted to focus on that because it's easier for us to scale. Also, it's sharing the profit with the homeowner. He was going to get $750 a month for a long-term renter, and we're consistently delivering anywhere between $1,100 to $1,600 a month for the short-term rental. So he's seen a really good return on his investment. He got 33% return on investment in year one. We just passed that year mark. And so that management strategy we really like because we do the homework, and there's a lot of the education process too. We educate our homeowners and investors that are interested in this strategy. We do consulting as well. But when we're partnering with someone to do management for their property, we want to make sure they know exactly what they're getting into, the risks with COVID, without COVID, and then just getting an idea of the numbers too, and making sure that we're setting up and managing good expectations from the beginning, that they're getting a good return on investment, because and that's most of the work up front is talking with the owners to to educate them on
Right.
what the market's giving and the upfront cost, and then our commission that we get too.
Um, so right now, how's the market looking? Like, what capacity are you guys at of what you were before? That's assuming pre-COVID was close to 100. And how fast do you think it can recover?
So right now, I'm looking at my spreadsheet with March, April, and May. We took some significant dips in it because people were afraid. Travel changed. It's been changed, but it was kind of at a halt there. We had tons of cancellations.
Right.
We lost some money on a few of our places, especially the larger places.
Mm-hmm.
The 2-bedroom places and 1-bedroom places have hardly skipped a beat. They skipped a beat a little bit in March and April, but they recovered really quickly in May and in June. But with the larger units, 3-bedroom and up, we even have a 6-bedroom under contract, and we just saw cancellations wipe everything out.
Sure.
So for those 3-bedroom units, those recovered around end of June, middle to end of June, had a good recovery. July was a strong month for 3-bedroom places. And August was our best month ever for these places. Even the 6-bedroom place was getting great bookings. And really, what we've done with owners, we've told people to target duplexes in Kansas City, Missouri specifically, because the regulation just allows you to be a little bit more flexible. You can rent out one half, and the other half, both halves separately. So you're a little bit flexible, and then you can combine it for a larger unit. So in terms of performance, though, March, April, there was a decline for sure. May, there was a recovery for the smaller units. June and July were fantastic across the board in our portfolio. August was excellent, and September shaping up just fine too, and so is October. I mean, we're in the short term, September, October, and even November are looking just fine with us.
That's good. I've heard for a few other people too, stuff's recovering. So I think there's a capacity of people where, you can only live in fear for so long. I understand that, I have to take precaution, but at the same time, you still got to live life. And I'm glad to see people getting out there, because I mean, the whole Airbnb thing is pretty awesome in itself, because it's kind of just like the Uber industry when you have a monopoly of something, especially government regulated monopolies. That's how usually they're created. When you have competition like that with these type of companies like you guys creating stuff and managing stuff, it gives so many more choices and creativeness to people out there willing to travel, and you could do it, at fair and real market prices. So I think that's awesome that it's coming back. I'm glad it didn't go away. Not to say it would, but I'm glad it's recovering. So people.
Yeah, and I don't think it'll go away either. Travel's changed a lot. Now we've explored the option of contract workers, traveling nurses. So that's what we did in the initial, like whenever COVID broke through in the middle of March. That's when it really started affecting the Kansas City market and our portfolio. We've been able to pivot with traveling nurses, traveling business people to keep some cash flow there, and not just to have a vacant unit.
Yeah.
But now, I mean, we've kept things on Airbnb and VRBO. We're getting constant business, week-long bookings. People are traveling to visit family still. Now that this is over 6 months since COVID really broke through, people have a better understanding of COVID. Still people are really afraid, but there's still plenty of people that are like, okay, I get what it is. I'm going to take the precautions, but I'm still going to travel because I need to see my mom and dad, or I still need to, I still need to work. I still need to travel to work. So.
Well, I still need to go to Cancun. I'm on that more flexible side. I'm the guy that's probably a day after they say COVID exists, that's looking for deals on Airbnb and airplanes. So that's how I am. I was like, I figure I'd live. It'll give me a challenge. It'll give me a challenge if I get it anyway. so that's pretty awesome. You know, you guys are getting back up there, and you know, I encourage people to be precautious, but definitely look out there. I'm sure, you know, there's still some deals, maybe even, you know, short term before, you know, they start to spike up. So I always tell people to, you know, keep trucking, because, you know, you can't stay in the basement forever.
Right. And as people are exiting and, you know, battening down the latches with long-term renters, we see this as an opportunity to grow more in management, because our numbers are indicating that it's a good time, and there's even a safety net with short-term, because in Kansas City, I know there's a whole tenants bill of rights, and then there's this raising awareness with tenants that who fighting evictions, and then there's the kind of federal, I think there was a federal mandate saying you couldn't evict people. With short-term rental, they're not tenants, they're guests. So if I've never had this happen, but if someone wanted to just squat, I'd be like, no, you're a guest. This is my house. Get out. Like,
that's a very good point. You probably heard of the moratorium stuff come out to end of year. Casey Regional Alliance, Home Alliance, and all those people, Stacy Johnson Crosby and Kim Tucker and everything like that are always, you know, working on our side to watch out for the rental industry in general, because whether it's short term or long term, we're still kind of in the same boat. Because at the same time, I wouldn't underestimate, you know, some of the organizations out there to come after a lot of people. I wouldn't doubt they would say, hey, we demand short-term rentals to be cheaper, to offer all these things. So it is good to definitely be involved with each other, whether short-term or long-term. We're all in the rental space. And as we know, government regulations can definitely stifle capitalism. Do you see, so it sounds like you don't have to worry as much as, you know, a normal landlord right now for short-term stuff. Is there anything else on the horizon aside, maybe, you know, regs for just, I'm sure, hotel lobbyists and people like that and you probably got HOAs and stuff like that are coming up for short-term rentals in general? Or is it same of what we've heard before, just, you know, working through the system?
Yeah, it's important. We know the Kansas City, Missouri regulations through and through. We have a lot of our properties permitted, and then the ones that aren't, they're in the process of getting it. The city's pretty slow on that. So, but that's an important part right there, and that's actually one of the first steps after we've educated the owner on kind of how it works, the return on investment, doing the numbers, doing our due diligence, because we want to make sure it's a good fit. We don't want owners that it's going to be impossible to impress them. We want only owners that we're like, yes, this is a good fit. I don't want to manage a poor investment that's going to be poor for the owner. I want to rock their socks off. Mm-hmm. And and then after we get through that phase, then it's the regulation phase of submitting the paperwork, getting it all organized, talking with the neighbors. With Kansas City, we got to talk with the neighbors, and because that side right there is that can kill a deal. Is if you get started, you already have the upfront cost of the furnishings. If you're shut down, you're talking about either a delay or never starting up again. So that regulation part is really important when people are looking for managers for short-term rental, is to ask questions. What do you know about the regulations? And if they're caught flat on their feet, that's not a good sign, because it might be right now that we can skate through this. A lot of operators are skating through without getting regulated, but it's going to come down the pipeline. And as these units are getting taken off the platforms, the city's going to crack down. They're going to say, oh, there's less now. There was 1,000, now there's 350. Well, now it's easier to get these, audit these listings to make sure that they're being regulated. As far as like that goes, and then with the short-term rental, if we don't, if short-term rental market changes a little bit, we're prepared to pivot to having a month-long stay, 2 or 3 month-long stays with traveling nurses. I used to be a speech therapist, so I network with other hospital liaisons, medical HR who are looking for housing, and I know who to talk to, and then I also know other platforms that work with that. So it's not short-term rental or bust. It's short-term rental. Okay, if that changes, we can get a nurse in.
I honestly hope that doesn't happen. Again, I have personal friends that know me, I definitely, the government regulations usually, I feel like, work against sometimes the landlords here, people just business owners trying to make things work. So I hope, they keep it flexible for all of us, because, I don't want to get into rent control and everything like that, because if people notice, once you start putting those regulations on, you start, getting places with issues. If they would just uphold what they have now and take care of the bad owners, instead of punish obviously the group as they do with a lot of laws, we wouldn't have issues, and we'd give, just in society, we would have a lot more options, and then we'd be able to spread the love. So hopefully, they don't cause you guys too much issue, because again, it tends to spread into rental space.
Definitely.
I'm glad you guys you're always thinking, watching the regs and stuff like that. So that's nice for an operator. Just coming back, we'll get in shortly here about the process. Just coming back, I know that you've worked with both strategies before. Right now, are you mostly looking for people that you're gonna rent from long term, or just from management perspective, you collect percentage of incomes? What's your main strategy that you want to hit on for people that might want to work with you?
So the main strategy right now is the management. It's not to say we would deny or not go with a rental arbitrage, like renting out from someone. It would have to meet our a very particular criteria for us right now. But for the focus right now for the next probably 6 months is to scale up in management, and we see it as, just kind of hit on this point again. We really educate the owner. We're as transparent as possible, and just to let them know what are they getting into. We share our numbers, we share our market analysis, we do it with the owner, so that expectations are set from the beginning. If they're impressed by the numbers in the very beginning, great, because the numbers that I present are just the market averages, and then I beat the market averages consistently.
Right, just trying to obviously over deliver there. Give us a quick walkthrough. Like, if I was someone new coming up to you, and I heard you do Airbnb management, give me a quick walkthrough of how to get started, and to the point of the system's running, just so people have an overall idea of what to expect.
Yeah, so I would send some piece of information. We got a pamphlet that itemizes exactly what kind of services we provide. And it just depends on your needs. If you have a vacant unit that's completely empty, we do the build outs too. We do the furnishings, and we keep that as budget friendly as possible. We don't just go to Nebraska Furniture Mart and have a heyday with spending. We actually find things on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. Nice. And we find really good furniture for discount. I mean, I'm talking like, I think I picked up a dining room table just the other week. It weighs like over 300 pounds. It's marble, and I got it for $350. Like, that's the kind of value that I'm bringing to the investors. So, and I'm going to share that value with them. So they're getting fantastic furniture that's not going to break. I don't go with IKEA furniture at all. So that's if an investor needs that sort of build out, we walk through that because that is its own process in itself. But if they say they already have a furnished unit or they got some furniture, then and it's already furnished, which a lot of investors are switching management or something, then we walk them through our management fee, what kind of services we provide. We have a 20% management fee on the booking fee. All the cleaning fee goes directly to the cleaner. It's 20% because this is a very active business. There's all the guest communication, 24/7 guest communication. We supply all the expendable supplies, toilet paper. As you can imagine, there's a lot of moving parts in here. So we just walk them through that, all the services and the value that we provide. We do monthly reporting and phone calls to tell them how their place is performing. And then after I give them that information, we schedule a property walkthrough where I meet the owner. I want to meet the property, walk through the property and see what is needed in terms of for it to fit easily into my management system. We have a specific lock that we use that's easier for us to manage. And then we want to make sure that the place is well kept. There's good maintenance and repairs, not a whole lot of cosmetic issues or structural issues, of course. And then we like to feel the owner out too. You know, we've actually said no to people because the owner wasn't a good fit for us. We don't want to grow irresponsibly. There are people that want to just take on any and every property, and we're like, this is a relationship. We want, and so we do ask some questions a little bit about the finance of the property, because if you're in on a duplex that you bought for $500,000 and then you had to get rehabbed, you know, which is actually a true story. I've had to deal with an owner that had poor financials of the property, and she, even though I'm outperforming the market, she's not impressed.
Right.
So I need to be able to work with someone who has at least a level of sophistication that knows what they're doing in real estate investing, so that my great work can be appreciated. The Jason Graves is the guy I actually partnered with him on buying a duplex. He's consistently very impressed, and we knock his socks off, and all the partners in that duplex. And that's the kind of investor I want to work with. And so we do a whole vetting process with the owners to make sure that they're sophisticated enough, that the property looks good, and that they're going to be easy to work with. You know, we're happy to work with people and help people out. But if someone's going to be a pain in the rear, you know, I want to grow right, and so we're very particular on that. And then after that, we get a contract written up. I present a contract and an estimate. Just get everything in writing so that everyone knows the same information. And then once we get the contract settled, that's when we start with the regulation process, getting the place regulated. If it needs to be built out, we start that. We start that too shortly after we get a feel for how viable it is that it will get passed. We will get permitted for short-term rental, and then and that's a long process by itself. But if we have a really good feel for how it's going to be permitted, we talk to the neighbors. And that's another thing right there too, is the neighborhood. If the neighborhood's all up in arms about Airbnb or short-term rental, it's not going to work. It's an uphill battle. We've talked with owners that they are the hated neighbor in the neighborhood because they were mismanaged as a short-term rental.
Right.
They allowed parties. They destroyed the property. Mm-hmm. I can't fix that. That's a lot of fixing. I can't fix relationships like that. So and that's one of our criteria too, is there needs to be good standing of the property. So, and then after we get a good feel of that and we start the build out, that's when we just perform. We just perform our managerial duties, and then we give the returns, and we give monthly reports, well put together monthly reports, and we just consistently beat the market. And
that's awesome.
So, and,
no, that's a good review. And I wanted to come back and touch on just the process of vetting people, whether that's long-term renters, short-term renters, partners, clients. I think that's a huge deal because you need to be on the same page. You need to have the same expectations. You both need to have the same goals, like as for short-term renters or long-term, especially now, maybe for long term, I'm looking at their employment and seeing how long they've been working there. Inquire about, hopefully it's stable. They haven't had any issues, because that's a huge thing now. Short term people, you're obviously checking their feedback and their history, because you don't want to deal with issues. You've got a million other things you want to do versus noise complaints or damage to the property. Of course, then you have to deal with the city, the neighbors, the property managers, and then for partners, you don't want someone who doesn't want to scale. You don't want someone that doesn't want to let you do your job. You don't want to partner anyone that's going to micromanage. So they're going to nitpick everything you do. They're going to, why'd you spend $10 on this doorknob? And I could have got it for $5. I'm like, yeah. And I have the same things when we work with partners too. When we look for investors for apartments complex, we send out monthly and quarterly updates too. You don't want someone that's constantly looking at the small picture. That you want to make sure the big numbers, the NOI and everything's growing. Just for like you guys, you want to make sure the income's going in. Not worrying about small stuff, because again, that's kind of why they're partnering with you. You're leveraging the experience of professionals for time and their history. So you do want to find the correct partners, because that could definitely sour a relationship. So that is a good point, and it sounds like you've dealt with those type of people also.
Yeah, and luckily we've been able to nip it in the bud a little bit. We haven't. A lot of our growth isn't based on that. It's just been actually just one partner that she just got in on the duplex, and her numbers are totally wrong. We didn't advise her on the purchase or anything of the duplex.
Right.
She was mismanaged before, and she came to us. So yeah, and then just recently we've had to say no to a few people that just weren't a good fit, because
I know some people that are looking at partnering. The money they might provide looks good, and you'd be able to increase your portfolio, but you got to think long term too. If you have to put in that much effort for these guys, you're definitely not making what you should be per time span. So
right.
that's just a partnership life lesson and scalability lesson that you're teaching there. People I always tell people, what's the end goal, and how are you going to get there to scale? Because you got to take yourself out of your system, your long term, if you plan to make it big. You don't have huge people who are running huge corporations that are obviously worrying about the mail. They're talking about visionary stuff and delegating. So I encourage people, just from a business perspective, to worry about farming out the small stuff, because scaling is definitely big. Time's so short, and then before you know it, like I'm still fixing the toilets when you could be doing big deals and getting big clients and big portfolios. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, which
good.
we've just hired someone to do kind of these boots on ground sort of thing. So that way, me and my partner, my wife, we can just focus on more healthy growth and just that whole vetting process of that growth.
And not to mention the stress level, just not worrying about that stuff is pretty big. It kind of bogs you down, because we could easily, we like to stay busy, you know, as entrepreneurs, as you know, you could always find something to do, and you just got to make sure it's worth your time. It's definitely about hiring that stuff out, not cleaning. Yeah. I guess if you have tons of time, no family, no job, you could do that stuff, but figure it out fast because you got better things to do.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, it's been an awesome update, awesome overview of the business. I'm glad it's getting back where it should be. The market's going to be strong forever for this stuff, and I'm glad things are coming back and you guys are figuring it out. Because again, I need somewhere to stay when I travel. So
definitely.
go ahead and give people some contact information. Let's maybe an email number, the website, Facebook site. I know you guys have that type of thing if they want to get in contact with you.
Yeah. Our Facebook site is Short-Term Rentals of Kansas City, and our website is LemonTree BnB.com, and you can there's a contact form on there, and you can see a lot of our services that we provide. For the email, it's Tom Sharkey, that's TOMSHARKEY .airbnb.com or at gmail.com.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. And then obviously if you guys have any issue with contact, I think I had a little email blip. It could have been me too. They could just message you through the Facebook site, and then they'll hit with you for sure. Because that's not email, obviously.
Yeah, it's directly to us.
Okay, sounds good. All right, appreciate it, Tom. Thanks for the updates. I'd like to get you back on here in the future because I want to see, you know, how the market's doing, how you guys are doing. I think it's good that we have professionals like yourself out, you know, boots on the ground. So appreciate your time, and hope you have a good week. And thanks for scheduling.
Thank you, Jake. Thank you, John, for having me. It was good.
All right, man. See you guys later. Good luck. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
We'll see you. Bye.